Hey, Parker.
What's going on, Troy?
Hey, buddy. Just hanging out, man. Super stoked to be here. And welcome to anybody out there watching to episode number one of the Bracket Breakdown. That's Parker Theobald, and I'm Troy Abercrombie. Thanks for joining us today.
It's going to be a good time. I'm excited to get this thing kicked off.
I'm stoked too, man. And episode number one, some people wondered, what is the Bracket Breakdown, right? Obviously, we are not the first bracket racing podcast. We are not the only. I'm not sure if we'll even ever be the best, but we are
Most
the
likely
most
not.
handsome. We'll see. One thing's for sure, we are the most handsome bracket racing podcast on the airwaves today, and we're the only one focused specifically on West Coast racers. So, really stoked to be able to provide a platform and a forum to talk about West Coast bracket racing, West Coast class racers, the people, the cars, the events behind it all, and super stoked to be able to join you on this journey that we're about to head on, Parker.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hopefully bring some light to the West Coast. I think the West Coast gets a lot of heat for being less superior than the other side of the country. So hopefully we can show that we're just as competitive, and if not, maybe even a little better sometimes.
I think the real ones know, man. And for any of those East Coast racers or Midwest racers that come out to the West Coast, you know that we're just far away, man. Even out here, things are far, and so you may not see the West Coasters, hit the circuit the way you see some of the guys out on the Midwest and East Coast. But I think the real ones know, and there's a lot of really high quality, high talent racers with great programs and real fast cars that come out of the West Coast. So super stoked to yeah, like you said, shine a light on what's going on out here.
Yep. I think our goal is kind of like we're gonna try and do this weekly, if not every other week, depending on our schedules. So look forward to bringing it to you often. So um, another goal I think we have is to bring the previews to races and stuff like that, right?
No, absolutely, man. And yeah, I hope we can keep up a weekly schedule. One of us is a real racer. The other one of us is a guy that lives in Oregon who owns a race car that he sometimes races. We're both family men, and so we'll do our best to be able to bring it to you, every week or certainly whenever there's important stuff to talk about. And right now, we're heading into a part of the season where there's a lot of stuff to talk about coming down the stretch. I know you just came off the divisional down at Famoso in Bakersfield.
Yep.
We call you Wally Theobald these days, and came home with some hardware, man. Why don't you start us off tonight? Tell us a little bit about the divisional.
Okay. Yeah, we went down to the divisional down in Famoso. There was actually a really good car count. I was happily surprised. Last year it was over 100 degrees. It was kind of miserable, to be honest with you. And I kind of thought that would steer away the car count this year. But a lot of people showed up. The weather was beyond amazing. It was 80s, and we didn't have a lot of on-track incidents or downtime. So every night we were done at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and you could go hang out with your friends afterwards. And that's what I enjoy about racing. I go there to go hang out with my pals and socialize and do a little bit of racing as well. So the divisional was awesome. Um, I think this can kind of lead us into one of the things we want to talk about on a weekly basis on our podcast, and that's the MVP of the week, right?
That's right, baby. Greatest of all time of the week, man. Uh, and we had some hitters down there, making a case for why they should be two double ups. At the divisional at what I heard was that sometimes a pretty challenging surface to get a
Oh
hold
yeah.
of this weekend. So I think anytime you can win one is an accomplishment. When you can go back to back at a doubleheader and grab the winner circle both times, that's saying something for sure.
Yeah. To name a few of the people that I'd kind of like to highlight, first you got Chad Weber in Super Comp. He won the first divisional, and then he runnered up the second one, which is very impressive in itself, especially in Super Comp. In my opinion, Super Comp is probably the most competitive class in all of drag racing. You got great equipment, and if you can let go of the button good, you're going to turn on a lot of win lights, but the person next to you can do the same thing. So the next person I want to talk about, Trey Vetter. He won in Superstock and he semied in Superstock. Along with Evan Kowalski, he won in Superstock and I believe he semied. So they got the same amount of points. But those guys aren't even the ones that are on my MVP list, right? So we had a couple double up drivers. We had JB Brown in Super Street, and we had Andy Spiegel in Top Dragster.
Yeah, man, and you run down that list of guys who went deep. I mean, we were this close from having 4 or 5 double ups down there. So, there was a handful of racers who definitely brought the heat, and I'm keying in on the same two as you are, and it's a tough break for Spiegel because of why I'm going to draw the line, because it ain't his fault. He can't control the car counts that come out there. I think JB went just a couple more rounds because the car count was a little higher on the super street side. And what I understand, I think a new bullet in that thing, so a fairly new, combination, even if it's a setup that's fairly familiar to him, to be able to go out in any .90 class and double up is awesome. And for me, I think JB Brown takes the cake for me, and he's definitely my MVP of the week at the Divisional at Bakersfield.
I'll have to agree with you on this one. So MVP, very first MVP of the bracket breakdown, give it to JB Brown.
That's right, baby. He deserved it, man. And we've talked a bunch, and anybody who's around it, any of these .90 classes, they're so competitive. You talk about Super Comp for sure, and you're talking about if you can let go and cut a light. Most people don't race Super Comp for very long if they can't cut themselves a light. So anybody who's out there, on a regular basis, certainly no one to be, taken lightly. So great run by Weber for sure, and Trey doing a great job too.
Yep.
So shout out to all those guys.
Perfect. What do you say we introduced the audience to ourselves on this?
We could do that, man. I don't know how many people need an introduction to you, but you should give one anyway. I hesitate to call myself a racer. More than anything, I'm just a fan of this sport. I love it so much. I love the competition. I love cars, man. I love hot rodding and doing burnouts and hauling ass. I do love to race, but as a family man and a kind of a career-oriented guy, I don't get to go out as much as I'd like. So I don't know if I'll ever call myself a racer, but I sure like to race. And got into driving just recently, about 4 years ago, 2021. Built myself a pro bracket car, just race Saturday Summit stuff off the bottom, late 70s Camaro with a big block. And it's a ton of fun, man. When I was growing up, my dad was all about big blocks, and so I'm all about big blocks. And when I was growing up, race cars had lots of contingency stickers and silver leaf, and they had names. So when I built my car, that's how I built it, and I like to say sometimes that it identifies as a super stocker. It wishes someday that it could be, but yeah, that's my hot rod. Have a lot of fun up here at Woodburn. That's my home track. Really love racing at Woodburn. The Severance family's been really good to me and given me some opportunities over the last few years. We've got a really nasty group of racers. I'm glad I don't have to see any of the guys on the top bulb side, because the guys on the bottom bulb are nasty enough, and some pretty great competition out there. And then travel around a little bit, hit up Coos Bay and cruise out to Idaho every once in a while. But most of the time, if you're going to find me at the track, you find me at Woodburn. So I'm married, and I got 3 beautiful girls who are the light of my life. And I have a lot of fun being a husband and being a dad. And real thankful that they support my journey to go racing. My car's name is Domestic Dispute, which I think is fun and kind of funny. But truth be told, my wife is a huge supporter, and very rarely does racing cause any sort of heartache around here. So
Awesome. I got a couple questions for you, and mostly for me. Why did you gravitate to bracket racing and sportsman racing? I mean, a lot of the people who see drag racing think, oh, the pros, top fuel, funny car, all that. But why did you pick bracket racing?
well, my money ain't long enough to build something with a blower on it, man, or that burns nitro. I love all that stuff. I'm definitely not one of the NHRA haters. I love watching the pros and all that, but like this is what I grew up on. So I was born and raised outside of Boise, a little town called Emmett, Idaho, which is just a couple miles from Firebird Raceway, right? A historic, legendary facility out there in Idaho. And when we couldn't afford to go to the track, we'd sit out and barbecue on the back porch and we'd listen to it because you could hear every run. And there was a time where I think I made it to like 27 Night Fire Nationals in a row as a spectator and as a fan. And so these are the guys we always identified with, right? These are the guys who that my dad was friends with. They were bracket racers, and so it just seemed like a logical place to go, given the time I have and the resources I have. But also, you see on the side of the door it says Ken Lee Racing. My dad's name was Kenneth Lee Abercrombie, and he's the one that got me into all this stuff. And I lost him in late 2020 as I was thinking about getting into racing. And after he was gone, it just really kind of took its own form as kind of a tribute to him and a way for me to kind of keep his spirit alive and spend time with him in my own way. And so bracket racing just fit that, because that's what I grew up doing, man. And having him, I remember him explaining back to me the old days when 500 was a perfect light back on the old time slips. And so it just all kind of fit, man. And so that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm into. I love the strategy. I love the nuance of bracket racing, right? Performance classes are cool. Heads up stuff is cool. And it's certainly not that there's not any skill or driving ability involved there, but we know at a certain point it's cubic dollars, and that's just something I'll never be able to fully identify with. Whereas when I go out to the track on Saturday and 60 of us pull into the lanes, it's 60 people just like me, right? Guys and gals just like me who trying to make it work and have a good time and chase those childhood dreams. So bracket racing is where it's at for me, man.
Yes, sir. Another thing is you do your fair share of announcing at Woodburn, and you've done some announcing at the national level in Seattle. Can you expound a little bit on how you got that role and what you love about announcing?
Yeah, I got hooked on it during COVID because I was bored, man, and I started cruising around on YouTube, and it wasn't until 2020 that I even realized that there were so many bracket races being streamed out there. It wasn't something I followed in that way at that time, and I tuned in one time and I heard Steve Riggins, the guy who's now become a friend of mine, and listening to Steve Riggins call some bracket racing, like, even as someone who loves it, right, you can only sit and watch so many, 1080 cars or 680 cars go down the track before you got to go grab something to eat or something. But listening to guys like Steve and Ryan and Hodge, and of course Jed and now JJ, right, that stuff just it really got me pumped and got me into it. And the one thing I noticed was that at our track we didn't have somebody on the mic with that type of personality who was telling the story in that way. And I felt like our racers deserved to have that, right? And that's not a slight at the announcing staff from before, but I saw an opportunity to kind of take that to the next level and start adding to the show. And I have a big enough ego that I thought I could be the guy to do that. So wound up just kind of weaseling my way into the booth after I'd go out first or second round early in my racing career. Make no mistake, I go out first or second round plenty now too, but I didn't want to leave, right? I didn't want to load up. I just got it unloaded. So I'd go up in the tower and start calling races. And turns out I was pretty decent at it, right? And thank God for YouTube University. I picked up a lot of stuff from those greats that are doing it. and kind of took all that stuff, mashed it up, and made my own style. It got a good response, and so it just started snowballing like a lot of things do, right? Started getting, rather than weaseling my way in there, I started getting phone calls saying, "Hey, can you call some races this weekend?" Um, that has led to now, like you said, I got the opportunity. I've called a few divisionals now. I've called some races with Alan the last few years. Um, Started calling some big money stuff. We have a couple big money races at Woodburn, and then got the opportunity over the last couple of years to work with Luke Bogacki and his team on the Summer Door Car Shootout out in Illinois. And then that led into an opportunity to call a national event this year in Seattle, which I hope I get another opportunity again. It was a lot of fun. It kind of felt like when you go to somebody's house and you're not sure if that's the couch you should sit on or not, right? Or if you're supposed to take your shoes off. I definitely felt like I was in someone else's house. But by the end of the weekend, had kind of molded with the team, and we were having a good time. So um, just really thankful, man. I have so much gratitude for what racing has given me so far. And I just try to make sure I give back as much as it gives to me. And so announcing is a great way to do that. You can't lose a round when you're in the booth, and you get to watch every pass. So it's a lot of fun, man, and I really love it. So.
Well, if you didn't like him before, you should like him now. So I'm glad we got to talk a little bit about you and your upbringing and where you are now.
Well, let's hear a little bit about you, Wally Theobald.
All right, I guess I'll start. So I'm the youngest of 5 siblings. I have 4 siblings. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. My oldest brother started racing junior dragsters in 1995, and I wasn't born until 2000. So I was born into racing. So this is all I've ever done my entire life. They raced juniors, got into big cars, and by the time I could remember, they were in big cars, and I've been watching them my entire life. My dad and my mom. My mom was actually the first one in our family to race a big car. She got a hardtail dragster. We actually had a local track here in St. George. It was just an old airport, and there was no walls, nothing, and they just made it work for 10, 15 years, and then started making our way down to Vegas, and then my brother got into big cars, and it's kind of snowballed into a family ordeal. I raced juniors for a dozen races. My dad and mom hit it really hard with my older siblings, and by the time I got to race juniors, they were over it. I raced with pretty much Crate, Briggs, and Stratton, and going 950s in the 790 category. But my brother drug me around to Fontana and Vegas, and we did our fair share of winning, but mostly just getting my feet wet. When I turned 16, actually, let's rewind a little bit. When I turned 15, my brother had gotten in an accident in his dragster. He was at the fling, and unfortunately, the other driver lost control of his vehicle and T-boned him. My brother got a new dragster, put it together, and it was time for me to start thinking about what I wanted to drive. So my dad and I actually rebuilt the dragster I got when I turned 16. Some of you may be familiar with that Cooper Chun. He just won the million. That's the dragster that me and my dad spent a year rebuilding, and I actually really enjoyed that. We got to do it together. We got to he taught me a lot about how a race car works, and I think that's a big part of becoming a great driver. If you know how it works mechanically, you kind of think in a different way on how to race it. So jumped in that when I turned 16, had some pretty good success early on. And then just recently, I decided to make the move to stock. I have a 1969 Plymouth Barracuda, and it's been in the family for, I don't know, 20 years. My older brother Dallas drove it for a handful of years, and then he slowly got into other things. He races or raced off-road motorcycles, and now he's into racing off-road trophy trucks with my father. But I took this car over in 2022, and I love it. I love doing big wheelies. I mean, that's not a very big one in that picture, but
I was gonna say, man, when are you gonna start doing those?
at least doing big burnouts, right?
Yes, sir.
So I've kind of found my home in stock. I really enjoy it. The competition is incredible. Unfortunately, won't be able to do it next year, but I like shifting the car. But next year they're making a rule change where you can have auto shift, and I feel like I'll be at a disadvantage if I don't go that route. But
You won't be
doing
as cool, but you will be at a disadvantage.
yeah, exactly. But I love stock. I like the factory steel body, no scoop, just pure American muscle, right?
It's a sweet car, man, and it's funny to be sitting here doing this with you. I feel like it's a little bit of a full circle moment for me because the first time I ever went to the Vegas National, um, the first car I spotted sitting out there in the staging lanes in front of the palm trees was your car. And I remember it's so clean and mean, and I seen, I was like, man, that's my jam right there. And I had no idea who you were, what you were about, but I loved your car from the jump. And man, you brought up a lot of things. It's got me, got me wondering. I didn't know you were such a young warthog, man. I think I'd already posted my first bail by the time you were born, uh, but so that's kind of fun. And I wanted to ask, like, you started in juniors, you did some junior racing. I know you do some bracket racing, but it seems like you just kind of naturally took the turn right towards class racing and Lucas stuff. What kind of led you to go straight for that rather than just chasing Saturday points or something like that?
um, I think most of it is just being on the West Coast. Um, our Vegas track has a handful of local races, but other than that, we have to travel a lot to get to a racetrack. And so if I'm going to travel, you might as well. I believe that the Lucas Oil Series is the pinnacle of sportsman drag racing. But that's not to put down bracket racing. I love bracket racing. I think that big money bracket racing is awesome. But it just works better for us out here to chase the division and national stuff because we have to travel such a distance.
Yeah, man. I think you hit it on the head too. And I remember talking to Casey and George on the GBR show last year. Shout out to Casey and George. I love what they do over there. Um, and we were talking about that, and it's like, man, the culture is just so much different out here. Like
Yeah.
the Wally is still like that's still the business out here, man. On the West Coast, and it still means so much. Um, and interestingly, like you say, the as demanding as the divisional schedule might seem, um, it would probably be easier for me to run a season of Super Street in Division 6 than try to win a track championship in bracket racing. Right? There's like 22 races,
Yeah.
and I can't race that many times, and so. Those long turnaround times and just kind of that longer, slower format kind of lends itself when it's a family kind of operation and a family deal. And as my kids continue to grow and things like that, I think a lot about that. The opportunity to go race and chase something meaningful like a Wally or a divisional championship, while also still being able to hang out and have a good time with the family. So
I will say we do our fair share of bracket racing now. When the fling comes to town, we'll be at the fling. When Chris Forsyth hosts his West Coast bracket racing, either in Tucson or Bakersfield, we'll be there. We try to do all the racing we can because we just don't get it as much as some of the East Coast side, right? And my brother and I are actually building a dedicated bracket car right now. It's a 87 Trans Am, and it's on alcohol, so it's kind of difficult to super class race. So it'll be a pretty dedicated bracket car. We'll drag it down to Vegas on an open trailer. I love the open trailer feel, and kind of get back to our roots, right?
Yeah, man, I love it. And you've been sharing some pictures and kind of progress reports along the way as you guys tweak on that thing. And super stoked to see that thing lay down some laps and hear you talk about letting go of the button for the first time in that car. That'll be that'll be a ton of fun, man, for sure.
All right, should we get into previewing some of our homies in
Yeah,
the Jegs
man.
Allstars?
A lot of action coming up here real quick down in Texas, and big week down there with Jegs Allstars, the Divisional, the National. Like, it's about to be busy down there, and thanks to our wonderful division staff up here in the greatest division in NHRA, Division 6, we got this cool graphic that highlights all of this year's Jegs Allstars coming out of D6. Who stands out to you on this list this
You
year,
know
Park?
what? There is a lot of hitters, a lot of world championships I see. You got former division or national champ Brian Presler in Super Gas, Brad Burton, multi-time national champion, stock, super stock, always a perennial top 10 finisher in whatever he competes in. Cooper Chun just came off the $1 million win, races a lot. I mean, I don't see a pick on here that isn't capable of winning the All-Stars, coming home with that cowboy hat.
Me too, man. And this, ties back to kind of what we said at the Open. If there was any question about the caliber of racers that come out of the West Coast, we haven't even talked about the D7 guys yet. But like, I'm putting that 8 people against anybody out there.
Yeah.
Any one of those guys is capable of going on a run and dominating in their class. You got, like you said, you got guys like Coop and Brad and Dylan, but other guys too. Like, Warder's no slouch. We all know that. Bill King, man, he's got that Cavalier rolling. He was on a real hot streak to kick off the season. Last year's Jegs All-Star representative for D6 and Top Sportsman, doing it again this year. I'm looking for big things out of him, and I know he's motivated. My man Daryl Stobie, that car is so sweet, and he knows how to wheel that thing. He got hot earlier in the season up at Yellowstone, and he's been pretty solid on either side of that. So, yeah, like you said, man, I don't see any holes in this game. And there's Coop in that aforementioned dragster you had. It turns out the car was fine, man. You just needed somebody else to drive that thing.
Just needed a superior driver, huh?
Needed someone good behind the wheel. And, like I said, he cashed in at the million. He cashed in up at, I think he was up in Edmonton or Toronto or somewhere earlier this year, and cashed in big. So, of course, no one's ever sleeping on Brad. And he's been, in the division, he's been on a run in stock and super stock. So
Yeah.
you got a lot of guys carrying some momentum into the Jegs All-Stars out of D6. So,
Yeah,
I'm looking for big things.
Brad's coming off of 3 wins at a double divisional. Is that right? Up in Woodburn, he won both days in one class and won the other day in super stock, I believe.
Yeah, man, he carried a ton of momentum off of that divisional up into Seattle. I mean, it was the Brad Burton show at Woodburn for that weekend for sure. And then, he had a little hiccup up there at Seattle. But he's just, he's as solid as they come, man. And I know he's motivated. So looking for big things out of Brad, who's I haven't done all the math, but I don't really see any path where he doesn't win stock and super stock championships in Division 6 this year.
Believe it or not, Cal Method passed Brad Burton in stock eliminator this last weekend.
Did he? Oh man, look at that. How about Cal Method?
Cal Method is an inspiration to all of us, right? I think he's 81 years old.
Yeah, they made no they definitely beat that drum quite a bit after the national. He is 81 years old. And that was a sight to see. I didn't check the points after the most recent update, I guess. So I didn't realize he'd passed him. So man, that's what a story that is. And
Absolutely.
What a year. What a year Cal's having,
Yep. Cal's the oldest competitor to win a national event, and he's won countless amounts of national records. He has tons of those. I know that. And I just raced him this last week. He is as sharp as a tack, and he's 81 years old. Like, that guy, He doesn't age.
No, man, and like anybody, like he'll throw down a 50 up front every now and again, but for the most part, Cal's rock solid, and that whole camp. I mean, around here, legends, right? I mean, Cal's a legend, and him and Marianne and now Kathy and Todd, right? Like
Mhm.
when they got the whole crew out there, they got a squad, man, and led by Cal himself, and so that's cool. It's hard not to pull for Cal. I had to do my best in Seattle to remain the unbiased, unbiased NHRA staff, because watching him and Joe stage it up in the final was something special, and to look back at what I think it was like 27 years prior, that's who he staged up against that time too, was Joe Sorensen, and Joe Sorensen beat him. And I was joking with him after the race that, like, man, 27 years, that's a long time to hold a grudge. But he paid him back, and what a neat moment, what a cool season. I fully anticipate him to keep racing, but at the same time, we know the facts, and he's on the tail end of it. So what a career he's had, and what a great way to be finishing it strong here, and what will undoubtedly be one of his final pushes. So
Yep.
great to see that.
How about we get into some Division 7 Jegs All-Stars?
Let's do it. Lay him on me, man.
All right. In Comp Eliminator, we got Joshua Lee. He's got a cool little front engine altered. Division 7 Stock is me, Parker Theobald. Super Comp, we got Jonathan Flores, young guy. Just got out of juniors not too long ago, but you can't count out those junior kids. Super Gas, we have Evan Kowalski, perennial top 10 finisher in Super Gas. And then the blocker is Mike Boehner. He won the All-Stars last year, so coming back for some to try to do it again. Super Stock, we have Evan Kowalski as well. So he's going to be pulling double duty in the All-Stars. And we have Randy Logie also competing. Evan's the blocker. Randy Logie took Ryan McClanahan's spot. Unfortunately, Ryan isn't able to make it this year. Super Street, we got John Dexter. John Dexter shows up to the All-Stars. I think he's been there 4 out of the last 5 years. Always in the hunt for the All-Star victory. Top Dragster, former world champ Cody Weber. He's also one of those guys who you always see at the All-Stars. He's won it before. He's qualified a handful of times, and I think he's ready to do it again. Top Sportsman, we got Bradley Johnson. He's out of Colorado, actually, so it'll be interesting to see him come down from Colorado and compete for us in D7.
Yeah, man. Hopefully he takes out some D5 guys along the way.
Bradley is an awesome competitor. I've been thinking for a long time. He doesn't usually claim out in nationals and divisionals for the national championship, but man, I wish he would. He always comes up just that short at the end of the year because he's lacking just a couple of races. But if he would fill those quotas, he would have a couple national championships, in my opinion.
Well, you got to lean on him pretty hard when you're down there this weekend, man. Let's make it happen, and it'd be great to see him go on a run, one of these years, and try to go after it.
Absolutely.
Who stands out for you out of the D7 lineup at the All-Stars? Who you think's got the best chance of getting it done?
Well, seeing that Evan Kowalski has 2 chances, he's a standout to me. He just came off of a win and a semifinal, and he went deep in Super Gas as well. So he's kind of on a heater. Hopefully he keep it rolling in Dallas. Another guy that comes to the top of my head is Cody Weber. He's the former world champ, right? His brother just tore it up in Bakersfield, and if he's anything like me, if my brother has success, I'm itching to go just to try and be like my brother, right? So Cody Weber is my pick to win Top Dragster.
Well, I'm gonna have to go on the other side and not to be a homer, man. I think Dylan Howe has a just a different kind of motivation this year. He finished number 2 in the world last year in top dragster by a skosh. You know, he I think is sitting 1 point ahead of Cooper Chun in super comp points in Division 6 right now. He's been putting some miles on that toter. Going around the country, him and Brian and family. And I think it's not that he hasn't proven himself. Anybody who's knows anything about anything knows Dylan House for real. Um, but I think it's his time right now. This coming week, and I think he's going to put on a show, and if it's going to come out of D6 or D7, I think it's going to be Dylan Howe, and I think at this point I'm taking Dylan versus the field across the board. I just his program's tight, his equipment's tight all the time, and we know what kind of driver he is. So I'm looking for big things out of Dylan.
I can't debate you on that one. He's got great equipment. He's got great coaches. I think Justin Lamb helps him set up all of his cars, and if you know Justin, he's very meticulous and he doesn't mess around with anything but the best.
Yeah, man, think about that. Who's got it better than Dylan Howe right now? Except maybe Trey Vetter, right? Who's a little closer even to JL. But like, if you told me that I could have the equipment that Dylan's got, I could go race any race I want, and that I got JL, turning the knobs when he needs to help me get dialed in. I mean, who's got it better than that?
Not many.
Not many, for sure. So yeah, we'll see, man. And I think Coop's kind of just all over the place these days, right? He's chasing points. He's flying all over the country for big money, and he's pretty good at it all. No matter what he does. He's one of the slower cars in Super Comp. He's going to be out on folks and off the stop a little sooner than probably pretty much anybody he's going to stage up against.
But he always races in front. He's got the same look every time.
Yeah, man, he's seen that a million times, right? How many guys has Cooper Chun backed into, right? Every last one of them.
All of them.
And so, we'll see. But like you said, that's such a tough class, man. It's tough for me to call.
One thing about how we were just talking about Cooper backing into everybody. Mike Boehner has a pretty dang fast super gas car, so he's going to have a really the same look every time. He's going to be chasing probably everybody. He goes $1.75 in super gas, which is hauling the mail, right? So I think that's probably an advantage for Mike. He's going to be pretty far back there, in my opinion. He's I think the average super gas car probably goes 65 miles an hour. So he's got at least 10 on most everybody.
Yeah, the average good ones, definitely in there, 165, 68, somewhere in there. So, he's going to be building some steam. And this is what I love about the All-Stars, right? It's the All-Star race. So how are you going to pick, really, right? We're only talking about 2 divisions here. You got 5 more divisions full of hitters from across the country coming out. All-Stars is special, man. And I've never been to it to witness it in person. I know you talked a little bit with Bobby and Walt and Jaggy last night about, how that feels and kind of the bracket finals feel. And I can imagine, right? This is the best of the best, right? And we're all here, going after one thing. Growing up, I always thought 2 things would be cool, man: to win a Wally and to get one of those jackets. So I'm pulling for you, big dog. You got your work cut out for you, but let's talk a little bit about that. I think we've been rolling for about 40 minutes here, but let's talk a little bit about your mindset as you head into All-Stars. I know you're going to be at a race in Oklahoma right before that, and then hop in the truck, buzz down to Dallas, and get ready to race. So, how you feeling going into it, and what's your mindset right now coming in this? I know you ain't going there just to participate. So,
yeah, last time. I was super grateful to go. I got to compete with my brother. He was the Jegs All-Star rep in Super Comp, and I made it in Stock. So to go with your brother is one of the things that I'll never forget. And he did well. He made it to the final. Just came up a little bit short, but I was really, really nervous going into that. I mean, the Jegs All-Stars is something that I look forward to watching every single year. It's on the calendar. It's on my NHRA TV, and that's what I like to sit down and watch. It's the best of the best from all over the country coming together to compete. So this year, have a little bit more confidence. I know how it goes. I know my car a little better now, and I've kind of honed my skills on the practice tree. So hopefully I'm a little more prepared this year. We're gonna go have some fun doing some bracket racing in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Hang out with Will, Billy, Carol, and try and bring home some cash. Hopefully that takes a little bit of the nerves away. But we'll go race the divisional on Monday and Tuesday. That'll get some good time runs, some laps down the track, and then we'll jump into the national and the All-Star side of things. So if there's something else that I'd like to talk about, there's the double up bonus. So if you win the All-Stars and win the race, I think you get an extra $5,000 or something like that. But all the drivers that are in the All-Stars are definitely capable of pulling off that feat. And I kind of mentioned it last night on Bobby's thing. What do you think? Is there an advantage to competing in the All-Stars? After you compete in the All-Stars, you're going to have a little bit more data, a little more runs down the track, a little more looks at the tree. Does that help you win the Eliminate?
Man, I think for certain classes, I don't see how you wouldn't think it's an advantage, right? I think if I'm racing comp, it's one of those things where you're running such a high-strung machine anyway, right? Putting extra runs. Now maybe you've got something to think about to weigh the advantages or disadvantages because you don't want to hurt something. But I think, yeah, by and large, right, more data is better. And especially when it's at the same place the day before, the day after. I mean, it's not like you're getting data and then trying to go back in 2 weeks and apply that data. I mean, you're getting real-time data today that you're going to apply tomorrow. And so, yeah, I don't see getting more looks at a tree, right? Every tree drops a little different than the other one. And so if you've got extra opportunities to get your spot right, get your box dialed in, whatever the case may be, get your launch RPM just perfect because you've been hitting that tree enough times where you know what's up. You've felt that launch, you've felt the track at the shift. I don't see how it doesn't. It certainly couldn't hurt you, right? Whether it helps you or not, who knows, I guess. But I think the only thing it could do is help you. I don't see how it hurts.
I got another thing. Think of how nasty the All-Stars is going to be. You're going to have, they're going to make up a Tulsa Divisional on Tuesday or Wednesday. We got the Dallas Divisional on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So everybody's going to have made at least a half a dozen runs down the track before we even get to the All-Stars, right?
Yeah, man. That's a good point, man. And I mean, that's how it's supposed to be, right? What a great setup for an all-star race, right? Not only bring the best of the best, but bring them all in there with some reps, right? Ready to go, dialed in, tuned up. That sets the stage. Yeah, it sets the stage for a really awesome, run in the All-Stars down the stretch. It's gonna be fun to watch for sure.
Absolutely. Well, do you have anything else for us? I think we covered most everything.
I mean, I don't know. This is the Parker Theobald show, man. I'm just here. I'm just riding shotgun with you, buddy. No, I think I think we're coming down the stretch across the board, right? This is such an exciting time of the year, whether you're chasing your track championship. Some of those have been decided depending on where you live, but a lot of them haven't, right? You've got things like the Jegs Allstars. You've got the divisional races that are still coin flips in, a lot of classes and a lot of divisions. And then you've got the national points chase that's really starting to take shape now, and it's really starting to become clear. And you've got your front runners, then you got 2 or 3 players, kind of in every class who, if all the chips fell just right, and they make a run, they've got a chance. And so I love this time of year. The weather cools down, the stakes are a little higher, the cars are going fast, and so what a fun time of year as we head down the stretch. And I fully expect multiple classes to not be decided until the final round at Pomona.
Mm-hmm.
And so just super super stoked for that, man. On a personal note, got confirmation that I've got childcare this weekend, so gonna go load the hot rod up on the trailer and start getting ready for a Halloween race local here this weekend up on the high desert out in Central Oregon at Madras Drag Strip. So looking really forward to hanging out with some friends and doing some racing there. And then as long as the weather holds, we'll close it out for the season next weekend down on the South Coast at Coos Bay. So a couple 8th mile races back to back, which is not what I normally race, but I sure love it. So looking forward to that, man, and following you and the rest of the crew this next week.
Yep. I'm looking forward to recapping how next week goes. Look forward to the future and maybe discuss some of the nationals and divisionals coming up. Maybe close out some track championships. If there's anybody who's got some interesting track championships, please send them our way. We'd be happy to discuss them and review them and give you all the coverage you deserve.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And it's this is the opportunity, right? And to do that here on the West Coast, or it's an opportunity. Hopefully it becomes the opportunity.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to continuing this on with you. And that picture we just talked about, when we come back next time, it'll be even a little more clear, right? Or in some cases, maybe it'll be a little more wide open, right? If somebody fumbles the bag and somebody else makes a run, somebody could have one hanging in the balance. So looking forward to joining everybody next time. I know we can improve because hopefully I'm not all stuffed up next time. So, I did that just to set the bar low. So the only thing we can do is go up from here, Parker.
Yep. If you're still with us, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hopefully we can bring you some good stuff next week. Good luck in Oregon this weekend. I'm excited to see some winner's circle pictures, hopefully, and we'll look forward to hearing you next week.
They'd be the first ones I ever took, except for being in somebody else's. So we'll see if I can do it, man. I've came close a lot of times, and one of these times I'll get it put together. Hopefully this weekend. So right on, Parker. Thanks, buddy. It's good fun and good hanging out. Thanks to everybody who listened in and tuned in with us today. If you want to suggest some ideas, you want to drop us a line, talk to us about somebody who you think we ought to have on the show, let us know. Let us know what's going on out there. And if you need some shine, or you got somebody in your camp that needs some shine, we're here to do it. So thanks for tuning into the first episode of the Bracket Breakdown, and we'll see y'all next time.
See you next week.